I wanted to discuss something that came up in the Shir and the Bereishis this morning. And it's shaykh also to Parshas Bereishis. It says we were learning about different, whether various things that we have, mitzvahs that we know about, whether the Bereishis, the Rabbanan. We were talking specifically about Sar Balechayim and the Gemara we were learning about, and different things. It's not really nafkamina, but I brought up issues about how we many things are not so clear. Obviously, even if it's the Rabbanan, we have to follow it. The Chazal or Masakin, different things, we have to follow. That's not the question. Just how did we derive it and so forth. If that's the case in halacha, and it's also the case in hashkafa. Psak that's accepted among Klal Yisrael and hashkafa is the Yud Gimel Ikrim. The 13 principles of faith that Maimonides, those are basically, for lack of a better term, the dogmas of Judaism that have been accepted, even though in general Judaism is not considered a dogmatic religion. But for lack of a better term, we could say those are the dogmatic views in Judaism. Now, that particularly comes up. So I've mentioned, when it comes to various things, we have what the Chazal Masakin, whatever our sages established, that's what we're bound by. For example, there's the halachas, but then there's minhagim that are different that come later, and each community could have its own minhagim, and we shouldn't think one is firmer than the other when it comes to following different things that are minhagim. And I think the same thing could say about hashkafa. Particularly, we have in Parshas Bereishis the whole question about creation. We all agree that God is the creator, but what was the mechanism of creation and the details of the creation? That's not so clear, and we shouldn't think on either side. Meaning, if someone is a literal creationist like Rabbi Victor Miller, that's what you follow. Gesundheit hate. That's. I personally feel that that's a very strong argument, and I tend to veer toward that approach personally. However, we shouldn't belittle someone who is a theistic evolutionist who believes that Hashem used evolution, and especially if they're basing it not because of necessarily science, but because they find midrashim to back them up, things in Kabbalah, things that they can back it up with. So then, that's also kosher. So, and if someone holds that view, they shouldn't see. So, the ones who hold maybe the more traditionalist view, the more literalist view, shouldn't see the others as heretics, and the ones who hold the more liberal view shouldn't, or the less literalist view shouldn't see the others as fanatics. We have to be able to accept everybody just as how they are, as long as they're within the realm of the things we accepted. Even the Yud Gimel Ikrim, are not the be all and end all. Is the different Rishonim have different approaches of what exactly are the Ikrim. Nobody denies that the Yud Gimel Ikrim are Jewish beliefs. The question is whether they're Ikrim or not, whether they're dogmas or not. But in any event, it's the same thing in the halacha. If someone adopts a less strict approach to halacha, as long as it's within the realms of halacha, meaning there's certain things that are clearly against halacha, but other things that are matter of minhag or different opinions and different piskei halachas, and you could be surprised if you learn the different piskei halachas. Certain things you'd be surprised that they actually have the different approaches and different opinions about. As long as the basics of what we have from the Sanhedrin, the Chazal, are kept, that's the main thing. Now, with that being said, again, the one who takes a more strict approach, Tavei Alav Bracha. That's what the Shulchan Aruch always says. If you the Machmir Tavei Alav Bracha, if you're going to be strict, you get a blessing for it, for sure. But it doesn't mean you should see the ones who take a more lenient view, as long as it's kosher within Chazal, as being not frum. And also the ones who take the more liberal approach shouldn't see the ones who are more extreme or more strict as being extremists or being fanatics. And in that way, we can find a balance and live in harmony and peace. And with that, we can embrace Ahavas Yisrael and really be zoiche to all the brachas. In that way, we're really being machmir and Ahavas Yisrael. And then for sure, you could say Tavei Le'im Bracha, for being machmir in that, and trying to be inclusive on both ways, because you have extremists on both sides. Extremism, I've seen more extremists in the liberal camp than in the more right-wing camp, because the more right-wing, they understand most of the time that a lot of the things that they follow are chumras, and so they don't expect everyone to follow it. But the more liberal will say, "Oh, you're extremist, you're backwards, you're old-fashioned, get with the times." No, we have to accept each other in both ways, in both camps, and that path we can be zoiche to, we can be worthy to get all the blessings that we're looking forward to with the coming Mashiach Tzidkenu Amen. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see more for more videos. Good Tavach.
What, baby?